After 9 years, the Prime Minister is not worth the cost or the corruption. The AG's latest report found that the Liberal-created Green Slush Fund has been directing tens of millions of dollars into companies owned by, you guessed it, themselves. Their own civil servants called it outright incompetence, but it's worse than that. $123 million of inappropriate contracts, almost half, shouldn't have been given to those companies at all. It's even worse, $76 million connected to Liberal insiders. Is it incompetence? Is it corruption? Is it both? What the hell is going on over there?
Before I pass the floor to the responsible minister, I'm just going to ask members, please, to be very judicious in the words that they choose in this House, to making sure that it is on the right side of parliamentary and as well as polite. The Honourable Minister for Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, I think Canada is saying how much the Conservative will go when we're talking about climate change, Mr. Speaker. We have been very clear, Mr. Speaker. From the moment that we receive allegations, Mr. Speaker, we launched 2 investigations, one by Raymond Chabot, Grant Thornton, and one by the law firm McCarthy Tétrault, and now the Auditor General, Mr. Speaker. We have been clear that we wanted to go to the bottom of this. That's what we've done, Mr. Speaker. And not only we have investigated, Mr. Speaker, we agree with the conclusion of the Auditor General. We're going to restore governance, we're going to restore funding to the clean tech in this country, and we're going to restore confidence from Canadians.
Good answer.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
How rich do Liberals have to get before they solve climate change? Tens of millions of dollars being directed back into their pockets. The Auditor General made clear that it is that minister who's responsible for the scandal. While millions eat in food banks, young people can't buy a home, families can't take a summer vacation, that minister is giving millions of dollars to his friends under the guise of his climate change ideology. Is he actually joking? When will anyone over there face a single consequence for anything?
The Honourable Minister for Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for the question, Mr. Speaker. You see again the Conservative going, Mr. Speaker. The Auditor General's report was very clear. Parliament decided 20 years ago to have an arms-length organization to manage that, Mr. Speaker. We investigated the allegation. We're proposing now a new governance model which will be under the rules of the Federal Public Service, so we can have more rules around HR, more rules around funding, Mr. Speaker. We're going to restore confidence. We're going to make sure that we have a model of delivery that have the highest standard, Mr. Speaker. We're going to fight for the clean tech in this sector.
Yes, good answer.
The Honourable Member from Leeds Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
General report makes it clear that this Prime Minister isn't worth the cost or the corruption. The Prime Minister's billion-dollar green slush fund handed out $123 million taxpayer dollars illegally, and we know this because Conservatives have been fighting against the Liberal cover-up as we've tried to expose this Liberal minister's incompetence. We know that nearly 100 conflicts of interest were uncovered because of the Auditor General's investigation. It's shocking confirmation of corruption, and we know that they're going to try and cover it up. What we need to know today, is the minister going to assure Canadians that not a single dollar of severance will go to the corrupt executives?
The Honourable Minister for Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, again, let me tell the Canadians, the Conservative at the time, 20 years ago, wanted that to be an independent arms-length organization, Mr. Speaker, from government. That was the delivery model that was chosen, Mr. Speaker. What we have done from the moment we had delegation, we investigated, Mr. Speaker, because we want to go to the bottom of this. We've seen the reports that have come up. We have proactively worked with the Auditor General. We're going to restore confidence. We're going to restore governance in this organization. But one thing, Mr. Speaker, we're never going to let our small and medium-sized business who are fighting for climate change in this country, we're going to fight with them.
Colleagues, normally this is the kind of energy we'd hear on a Wednesday, but I'm going to ask the Honourable Member, please, from St. Albert, Edmonton, to please take the microphone when he is recognized by the Chair to do so. The Honourable Member from Leeds Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
The only fighting that we've seen from these Liberals is fighting for more handouts for Liberal insiders. Liberal insiders lined up to get rich while Canadians line up at food banks. The Auditor General report makes it crystal clear that this Prime Minister and his government aren't worth the cost or the corruption. $76 million given out to projects connected to Liberals' friends. Liberal friends who were appointed to the slush fund by these very Liberals. Liberals lining the pockets of Liberals. We know all about it after 9 years of this corrupt Prime Minister. Will they stop the cover-up and commit to get Canadians every dollar back?
The Honourable Minister for Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, here we go, the Conservative again, against our small and medium-sized business in this country. We're fighting for climate change, Mr. Speaker. As I've said before, once we receive allegation, we initiated the investigation, Mr. Speaker, because we wanted to go to the bottom of this. The CEO of the organization has resigned. The chair of the board has resigned. We demanded an action plan by management. We welcome the Auditor General report. We're going to restore confidence. We're going to restore governance. But we've got to make sure, Mr. Speaker, we're always going to be there to fight for small and medium-sized businesses in this country.
Very good.
L'honorable député de Mégantic-l'Érable.
The honourable member for Mégantic-l'Érable. Well, Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this Liberal Prime Minister, he's just not worth the corruption or the cost. Not one, not two, but 3 Auditor General reports. 3 devastating titles. First of all, policies frequently disregarded by federal organizations when awarding professional services contracts. 2, significant lapses in governance and stewardship of public funds at Sustainable Development Technology Canada. And finally, Canada's response to cybercrime hindered by government's disconnected approach. Liberal buddies are happy after all of this, but meanwhile, Canadians are fighting to put food on the table. When will the government do something about this? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. I'd like to thank my colleague for giving me a chance to once again thank the Auditor General for her important work. Her reports deliver similar conclusions to those we've already seen and what has already been published by parliamentary committees. And given what we've already heard, we have taken strong action over the past year to make changes when it comes to granting contracts, for example, to businesses like McKinsey. The honourable member. And what's the result of all this hard work? Well, the Liberal Green Fund has put a lot of money into Liberal friends' pockets. The Auditor General told us this morning that the Liberal Green Fund sent $59 million to ineligible projects. That's right under the eye of the Minister of Industry, and just like usual, the Minister did nothing. But we know the Minister was aware. Will the Minister ask his friends to reimburse Canadians for their ill-gotten gains? The Honourable Minister of Innovation. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives seem to be waking up. I guess it's this nice weather. As I said in English, when we heard allegations, we immediately launched investigations while they were slumbering. We took immediate action. We worked with the AG. Why? Because we want to get to the bottom of things. Our model of governance will enable us to relaunch the organization in order to be able to fund small businesses that are fighting climate change. We will bring back trust and support our small businesses.